Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to the first ever ADG podcast. I am your host, Andre Gonzalez. I am the head audio engineer at ADGMastering.com. If you need any mixing or mastering, hit us up. I know, cheap plug. And today on the show, I'm going to talk to y'all about buying SoundCloud plays. And you can even extrapolate this to anything anytime people try to buy social media followings, like, buying Facebook likes and Twitter followers, YouTube views. It all kind of can coalesce into the same thing. I don't know what coalesce means, by the way. I just put that word in there. Anyway, so I've gone into the past, how much I love SoundCloud over other platforms for distributing music. However, the main problem with SoundCloud is when independent artists, unknown artists put up their music and they start promoting it, but their reach isn't that big. They can only get up to maybe 5,000 plays, if they have a decent following, 25,000 plays, if some other blogs pick it up, some cool people repost it, maybe even 50,000 plays, which is quite substantial actually on SoundCloud if you think about it. And considering the market that you're catering toward on SoundCloud, avid music listeners, real music listeners, not, radio music listeners, because that's a whole different demographic. You're listening to real fans. So that's kind of a huge demographic if you can get, 50,000 people who are really into music to listen to your song. The problem becomes cracking over that. And even some people can't even get 100 plays on SoundCloud. If you're in that category where you can't even get 100 plays on SoundCloud, I suggest you don't even buy any bots, because it's just clear there's some disconnect between what you're making and what people want to hear. So I would suggest you do more community outreach and groundwork before you even consider this next step of paying for promotion. Now, people who sell SoundCloud plays are trying to sell you into investing into yourself. But really what you're doing is you're just buying bots. Now, what are bots? I think before we go further, I should talk to you guys about what a bot is, so you guys can understand the pros and cons of buying SoundCloud plays. Essentially, you're paying a computer programmer to use his software to send bots, basically a set of computer commands, to your song to make it seem like a real person listened to it. They can do this in a number of ways. For example, spoofing their location, which means faking where in the world that listener is coming from. I don't know if this is true or not, but my suspicion from looking at some of these SoundCloud play selling sites is that they're coming from not necessarily America or Canada, but they're coming from places like Russia or India. And I'll get into why I have that suspicion later on, but they can do things like spoof where the location is through the IP address and such and things like that to make it seem like, to SoundCloud at least, the geniuses at SoundCloud, that your song is getting a legitimate view from some dude in LA or something like that. They can also do things like things that real listeners would do, like leave comments, leave a like, of course, repost, and all of these things come with an additional fee, of course. Again, it's important to keep in mind with bots that this is not real people listening to your music at all. This is just a set of computer commands being told to listen to your song however many times you paid for, 5,000 times, 10,000 times, whatever. Now, why would anyone want to buy SoundCloud plays? Let's think about that for a second, because that really, I think, cuts to the heart of why people would, artists would want to blow up and try to get SoundCloud plays. Obviously, it's this thing called social proof. And in other words, when you look popular, you become popular. So people think, just because this guy has 1 million followers on Instagram, he must be popular. I'm going to like his post. I'm going to follow him on Instagram or whatever social platform. And I don't know if that's true or not. In my world, I don't want to believe that's true, because I don't want to live in a world where people can fake their way to the top. But I'm not naive to think it doesn't happen. However, I'm still optimistic enough to believe that people who fake their way to the top don't really have what it takes to maintain themselves at the top, and then they fall off really quickly. So that kind of karma will come into play for the people that kind of fake their following, if you will. So basically, the main pro then of buying SoundCloud plays is actually its main con, which is a double-edged sword, which is you basically screwed yourself over because you're putting up a song saying, "Yo, this song is getting 20,000 plays, and it's terrible. It's complete garbage." And who are you attracting with that song? Do you really want the kind of person that only listens to your song because it appears popular? You got to think about that for a second. That's a super deep question. Do you only want the kind of person that will listen to your song because they think it's popular? And that puts you that you're basically saying you want a particular type of demographic when you say that. And more into that, secondly, do you want a person that's so naive that they'll actually believe you have all this social proof? In other words, do you want dumb fans? I don't think you want dumb fans, because dumb fans are literally the bottom of the barrel of the world. They'll never buy your music. They'll never buy your t-shirt with your face on it. And they have shit taste, okay? So we don't want dumb fans buying anything that we're selling. And thirdly, of course, this is probably going to happen sooner than later. SoundCloud will figure out that you're buying bots and ban you and ban your song. So even if your song has like 15,000, 20,000 real views on it after you bought, say, I don't know, 10,000 fake plays, that'll all just be erased like that overnight. You wake up one day, check your account, you've been banned from SoundCloud, or your song has been deleted off SoundCloud. And this is going to happen sooner than later, because now SoundCloud's done all these deals with all these record companies, and they're putting out a subscription service. So they want to really seem like their service is legitimate, because they're going to have to start paying royalties, and they don't want to have to be, faking it or fudging the numbers or anything like that. They want to make sure everything is straight and narrow. You know what I mean? So let me just take some water here. Okay, so what are you to do? Now, I'm not against paying for promotion in any way. I mean, we see this all the time. If you have a product, you've got to pay someone, whether it be advertisements or billboards or wherever, radio advertisements, wherever, to market your product. This is no different than TV. TV shows do this, movies do this, and even artists do this, right? You'll see artists in commercials or even ads for their CD or whatnot. And you, being a small indie artist, you got to figure out ways to make your budget stretch in a similar fashion. Now, what I recommend for people looking to get more plays for their song after they've reached out to any and everyone who will listen to their song, is to hit up these curators on SoundCloud and YouTube that have these channels dedicated to whatever niche they're in: hip hop, EDM, rock, whatever niche they're in, and see if they'll post their song for a small fee. And a lot of these sites will charge a small. A lot of these curator channels will charge, anywhere from $25 to $60 to $200, and it really depends on their following. And if you're an artist already on SoundCloud, you probably have been hit up by some of these curators. A lot of them are probably bots, so you can tell right away if they're bots. I should go into that right now. Actually, I would recommend to stay away from channels that look like bots, and you can tell that they're shady if they have poor English, really bad cover art, just super generic stuff. They have like 1 million followers on SoundCloud, but yet they have no followers on Twitter or Facebook. It doesn't make sense. How do you have 1 million followers on SoundCloud and then 200 followers on Twitter? Like, why isn't your following going over? So I would look out for things like that. And so just to recap, basically, don't buy no SoundCloud followers, man. Don't buy no SoundCloud plays. Don't buy no YouTube views. Don't buy no Twitter followers. Don't buy no Facebook likes, okay? Advertise. Advertise through the correct channels and everything like that. Hit up people on Twitter who have huge followings. Hit up people on SoundCloud who have huge followings. Offer them a little cheese for them to repost, retweet your song. If they need that, see if they'll do it for free at first. And that's it. do it the smart way. Do it with real people. Don't do it with bots. Don't do it. The robots are already coming. Don't play with these bots out here, okay? And I think that's it. This is 10 minutes, right? This is 10 minutes. First ADG podcast. I'm not sure this is a podcast or just like some infotainment, but hit us up at ADGMastering.com for all your mixing and mastering. And you can send us the email at music@ADGMastering.com if you have any questions or comments. Peace!